What's up, everybody? Matt Mandu from Headwaters Adventure Country, and I want to talk to you today about some of the tournaments that have been going on. I did get to work the Western Bass Shootout, which was in Sacramento this past weekend, and we've got some new stuff shop. And depending on where you're fishing, depending on your water temperature, we are anywhere from pre-spawn to the spawn. There's a lot of people catching fish off beds, like I know James Robertson is. He's fishing some of his local ponds right now. It looks like larger ponds. He started a YouTube channel too, so James Robertson Fishing. If you want to check him out, he has some good content, and he's going to start, so it's always going to get better as well. But he's a great fisherman, and it's a good way to learn some new tricks. I personally, well, I'll talk about the shows first. And one of my buddies just got first in a tournament over at Folsom Lake, which, if you've used Folsom Lake, you know it can be a very tight place. They placed first, and I don't know what tournament series they are. It's a smaller tournament. But they came in with this one-day tournament, 21 and some change on Folsom Lake, which is a great day. And I know they got one of their fish on a high-tech. Everything else was flipping a Senko around bushes. A lot of us, and I myself included, I give them a Senko. You got a lot more baits. Like, my favorite thing is a swim jig. Obviously, I've got it. I think every time I've done a YouTube video or a Facebook video, live video. Don't forget Senko. The Senko, especially this time of year, is a powerful tool. It just flat out gets bit. You throw something like this, you might get less spots, but every fish eats a Senko. The 10-pounders and the 10-ounces. So don't forget that in your arsenal, especially in this pre-spawn phase where you don't know where the fish are at. If you're beating the banks or target casting, a list worm like a Senko or a Zoom trick worm is a great way to fish because you're not fishing it all the way on the bank using a really slow presentation. It's like there's a stump, there's a bush, there's a tree, there's a dock. Put where the high percentage zone there, and then fish whatever bait you. But if you're gonna have something that you're gonna let get next to a piece of structure, let fall really slow, stay in their face a long time, and they're feeding, so they're gonna eat it. So just And then Ken, he won on the Western Bass Shootout, the Delta, which was really cool. Came in on the first day with 27 pounds, so the Delta's picking up. And there you can get away, I believe, that with a crankbait square bill. So it's that time of year you're moving up. They're chasing. They're hungry. I know. Last week I talked about using a big bow bait that doesn't have a lot of action. One of the baits that I picked some fish on this weekend is a beaver style bait, which is what I was talking about with your larger profile. But this is a Rage Bug from Strike King. We just got these into the shop, so you action from the little arms on the side. Bigger arms on the bottom, and even the tentacle little edges on his arm to catch water and move. So get a lot of action with this, and it's a beaver style bait, so the profile is bigger. Those fish, they're looking, especially with the water warming up, are looking to eat a big eel, whether that's a crawdad or a bluegill, but something like that's going to put a lot of movement, and those coffee scented, which they seem to like, but they flat out get bit. Throwing them, depending on depth you're fishing and your wind conditions, I'm throwing them on 3/16, a 5/16, or a 3/8. Got to get them deep. You could go up to a half ounce or even a quarter. If I was doing that, I'd end up Carolina rigging it. But right now I'm flipping, maybe 7 feet water, and that 3/16 falls incredibly slowly, but fast enough to get all the appendages. It's a big bait that is going to get bit. But we've got those in the shop now. I got a handful of new stuff to talk to you, and Trinity. We fished. I got to fish Trinity this past weekend, and boy, was that fun. It was cold. It was windy. We got drizzled on. Those fish are in pre-spawn. It's colder water up there. The water was about 48 degrees, and it was overcast and gloomy. Those fish are not yet spawning, but they are moving that way. So if you get up there, target the flatter tapering banks, the flatter tapering points. That seems to be where they were at. I caught all of my fish except for one. I got on a jig, but the other fish caught were all on a chatterbait, which in the Delta, this was my butter. I love a chatterbait with a swim jig going back in between them. I fished them the same way. It was just a matter if we had a breed or not. But out there at Trinity, I was fishing it more like a crankbait. This one's a heavier. This is a jackhammer from Z-Man. And the cool thing about these is actually say the weights on the back of their head, and I could just barely see that. But this isn't a quarter. So I was fishing these deep. I was throwing the 3/4 ounce most. I was fishing it from 0 feet to about, I'd say 12, maybe 15. With these baits, the deeper you fish them, you don't as much feel chatter. So you just kind of have to believe that they are chattering down there. If you give them a rip, you could definitely feel it. But while you're just doing it normal, you might not feel it. They're working. If you're doing a custom retrieve, that's something I would say medium fast, they are going to be working, especially if you throw them in shallow water. When they're in 1 to 7 feet, you could feel that blade thump very, very well. When you're fishing them deeper, you can fish these all down to 20 feet, ounce, quarter one. You just have to believe it's working. Maybe, I think my rod's plenty sensitive. It's just something that I was going off feel. Every one I'd give it a pull just to make sure I didn't have anything on it and they'll feel it. But what I was doing with that was fishing almost like a crankbait or a single swim bait, like a Kitech. We were on these flats and we were creeping them. I was fishing it fast enough to every once in a while bottom. If I tick the bottom, I'd get a pop or a pop, and that's usually I would get. The other thing that I'm doing is if I'm not hitting, I'm still doing that pop. I am changing the cadence, whether I start or reel it faster or give it a couple pops, something to make the action so this fish can react to it. Because with them getting ready to be to spawn, they're all feeding up really well. These fish were all really fat, and if you get it in them and change the action, they're gonna eat it. The cool thing was, which was new for me, I'm not going with a chatterbait in lakes. That's just me. It came up to if I'm going to chatterbait, I'm going to throw it in grass, and I'm trying to break that. And this weekend definitely helped because I was in this with no cover, just flat on flats with nothing on them. I'm sure there was boulders. I'm sure there was a bush there, but I wasn't targeting anything or ripping it out of grass constantly. In fact, I was fishing it down the bank, fishing it more like a square bill. And when I was in the deeper water, fishing it more like a mid-diving crankbait down to 10 feet or so. So it gave me a lot of confidence. One, because I was able to catch smellth, which was a first for me on a chatterbait. It caught a lot of nice fish, and it was just a really good positive reinforcement. So if you don't throw chatter, they do catch fish very well throughout there. You just have to fish them correctly, and this was another way to fish it. That is a new tool in my arsenal to help catch. One of the reasons bringing this up is because you have chatterbaits. I know I grabbed it. So another chatterbait we brought in the shop, the Picasso, which I know I was just talking to Jackhammer. Different chatterbait, a really chatterbait as well. I just started fishing it. You start feeling that blade move immediately. First handle, it starts going. The hooks on it are good. The skirts on them, they've got a ton of different colors. I will say, fishing this versus the Jackhammer, this seems even at the same weight to run a little bit higher on the water column. Not much, but nibble for me. The cool thing about this is make them two ounces. So if you're fishing 20 feet of water with a chat, because I know a lot of guys aren't doing that, this will give you a different presentation that will get you more bites. Bang it off the bottom, hit something, change your retrieve, fish it like a crankbait, spinner bait. Does a lot. You can throw around docks, throw it around anything. But we got a few different colors, so check that out. The other thing that my friends were getting bid on while we were out there are swim baits. I know that's a Trinity special, and I just got these bad boys in. Check out. That is a JSJ bait. It is a loose caboose. It's a paddle tail. Guess what? They're silicone, not plastic, so they're not going to fall apart on you really quick. This is a cool bait. He's in a bunch of different colors that we are stocking now. That one was Sexy Shad. I've got carp, which looks tasty. I've got Lino, which will get their attention. And then everybody's favorite, that is a light trout. So JSJ Loose Caboose. We also got a couple of their baits. It's a silicone bait. You could fish it really slow. It's got a great top hook, and these are going to just flat out get eaten this year. It's going to be awesome. I already set a couple of side self, so get them while they last. Another new one that we have in is the Dirty Jig Swim Jig. So I'm a swim jig fan. I haven't really thrown that, so I made sure to get sand. I picked it up to start throwing it. I caught a couple small fish. It was tough fishing when I was out fishing some of the ponds, so I did bit. Stayed out of cover. It's the big thing. When you're fishing a swim jig, depending on the brand, sometimes you get good weeds and sometimes you don't. This one seemed to good weed guard because I was letting it fall down into that structure and was able to fish it. That's a good benefit for you because you could swim it, you could flip it, and you can keep it out getting stuck and just fish it more effectively. It got a nice stout hook. They do one with a stouter hook if you are fishing grass, or if you're getting really big fish, which is what happens with the California swim jig, which we'll be getting some of those in. I got a handful of. It's a great place to start. These are all 3/8 ounce in a few different varieties. Green pumpkin, obviously, dirty ship, black and blue, and a what's this one? Pogo Shiner. So those are really cool. I like a swing, like I said, and we've also got the Picasso shaky heads. So those are the rhino heads. They are really cool bait, and I definitely am going to be throwing them this year. And then the VC weedless wacky hooks. I apologize for that. Somebody outside and my dog's barking at them. But they're going to be nice because, again, if you're flipping struck, especially with light line, doing something like that on 10-pound test, but your Senkos, your worms, your things like that. In fact, we've got one of them that I wanted to show you. So that is that wacky rig hook, a trick worm, and a little itty bitty pegged 16-ounce weight. But I could throw this in structure. Obviously not too heavy because it's only 10-pound test, but you can bounce it through and get it back. It's not something that you have to go too terribly light with, and because of that weed guard kind of bulges out. I'm going to check at the door. That weird bulges out, so when they dig it, it's going to compress easy instead of get hooked around the edge. One second, guys. I apologize. Who the heck is here? So sorry about that. I hope that's not unprofessional. But yeah, we got a bunch of stuff in the shop. Trinity's fishing really well. I know the tournament that they just had at Phil's had some big weights. What's up, Daryl? If you guys are on here, please talk, ask me questions because I love conversation and I'm caffeinated and I know I'm talking fast. I don't want to talk about just the stuff that we have in, but we do have a lot, so come check it out. But I'm throwing a lot this weekend of the iRods. So this is the Genesis 3. It's the 744. It's called a heavy. I would say it's more of a medium heavy, a worm and jig rod. But I'm throwing the swiver those. I was throwing the chatterbait on it as well, a little bit heavier. It's rated to 1/4 ounce, and I was throwing a 3/4 ounce. It handled it just fine. The other one that I've been really liking, throwing my Rage Bug on. This is also if I went over that 3/4 ounce for big spinnerbait or big deep chatterbaits. But this is what I've been my Rage Bug on. This is 764. A little bit stiffer, a little bit longer, but it's still pretty parabolic, and you can really jack them with this. If I was fishing deep, if I was fishing in cover, if I was flipping docks, the rod that I'm going to throw. It's comfortable, it's light, it's live. I am a big fan. The chatterbaits, and I was throwing both those on 7-to-1s. The chatterbait, I tried it on a 6 just so I don't overfish it. You could, real quicker without it feeling odd. On a 7-to-1 or an 8, I fish it slow enough, so I moved to a 6. This is the other color of the Picasso that we have, green pumpkin amber. I caught one fish on this guy just back here behind the shop, so that's going to be a great bluegill/crawdad imitator. It kind of goes both ways, and that's kind of what I try to do when I throw the browns and green pumpkins is mimic two different things. I don't care what they think it is, but to be able to go either way. And then obviously your bait fish patterns, and then black and blue. Where it is, they eat it. I showed you that setup for the spinning rod. And I think that's going to be really killer. So a little bullet weight is a fantastic way to bed fish with worms, especially if you're doing your pinks and your methites and sherbets and all these funky colors you're bed fishing to keep an eye on it. That little pegged weight will get worm to bed much quicker because if you're doing that in 5 feet of water, you don't want to wait for that worm down there. This is just enough to pull it down and get it in their face, which is a really nice trick. Yeah. I've been talking fast, but definitely come check some of these baits out. It's really getting good right now. There's fish on beds. I just saw a bunch of fish in some of the local ponds. They are, just surface, and they're looking for mates, and they're looking for food. Great way to take those are with glide baits. We just got some of our Rashis again, the S Waver, the Killer Lure, which I'm going to try and catch them on once I leave tonight. Get your glasses, get yourself either from shore or get a small kayak or a little tube and get out there and go fish. Right now is the best time because pre-spawn they're fishing. Spawn, you can see them and they're not going to go in, so you could really try to beat them up and come in, check out the new stuff. Water, I don't know if I said it, was 48 degrees up at Trinity, and I highly recommend it out there. The bite, from what I heard, has been pretty good as well. I got out there, maybe this upcoming weekend. I see I got 4 of you guys looking. Anybody got any questions? Anybody want to say anything to me? I highly recommend these big chatterbaits. This was my first time fishing them actively, so got some positive reinforcement and just fishing a chatterbait on a boat bank. So if you're like me and feel you need grass to fish well, you don't. I found that out this weekend. It was awesome. So definitely pick them up. If nobody's got anything to say, hey, I'll see you later. Thank you to Daryl and James Robertson, James Croco for helping me out at the Western Bass Shootout. It was a fun time. Again, congrats to Ken and my buddy Brian for winning his turn at Folsom. Have a good night. Sorry I pushed it off till today, but Tuesday tackle talk and fishing reports from here on out, and let's get the push back.